Good day, I am Kenjin C. Mercado from the CM International Maritime Academy, and I am here to tackle about the history of Exxon Valdez. Exxon Valdez. Exxon Valdez is a VLCC oil tanker under the ownership of Exxon Shipping Company. It caused a wreck havoc in the waters of Alaska. Got renamed for a lot of time succeeding the innovation and entitled seaworthy once more after running aground and caused wide spillage of oil. Unluckily, it ended up to beach for dismantling on August 2, 2012. According to the Atlantic on March 24, 1989, the Exxon Valdez oil tanker was entering Alaska's Prince William Sound. It had departed from the Trans-Alaska's pipeline terminal on March 23 at 1200 hours and was carrying 53.1 million gallons of oil. At 12:04 a.m., the tanker slammed into Blair Reef, tearing open its hull and spilling 11 million gallons of oil into the water and surrounding environment. The Exxon Valdez oil spill in 1989 was the largest oil spill in the US and one of the largest in the world. The environmental catastrophe happened in the Prince William Sound, Alaska, a location notoriously hard to reach, which made it very difficult to respond to the spill quickly and effectively. The Exxon Valdez oil tanker, which gives the oil spill its name, left the Prudhoe Bay oil field on Alaska's north slope carrying 54 million gallons of oil. Its final destination was to be Long Beach, California, but the tanker ran into a reef just hours after departing Valdez, Alaska. The spill had both immediately devastating and long-lasting effect in the environment, negatively affecting both human lives and wildlife. Alaskan waters are home to the sea otters, salmon, seals, and seabird, and the spill killed 10,000 of them, as well as many other animals. In total, the spill affected 1,300 miles of coastline. The next section is the causes of the spill. While the initial blame of the spill fell on the captain of the Exxon Valdez, named Joseph Hazelwood, he was found not guilty of the felony charge in the 1990 court trial. He was found guilty of a misdemeanor and had to complete community service. The National Transportation Safety Board found 5 main causes for the spill. Number 1, excessive workload, which caused fatigue. The third mate failed to properly drive the ship due to lack of sleep the previous night, coupled with working a stressful, physical, demanding day. Number 2, improper navigation watched by the master in charge at the time. Number 3, Exxon Shipping Company's failure to ensure master was properly supervised and provide enough rest time for crew. Number 4, failure in the US Coast Guard's vessel traffic system. And lastly, number 5, ineffective pilot and escort services. The third section is oil spill cleanup. This section is all about how the spillage of oil caused by the infamous Exxon Valdez was cleaned up. In the month after the Exxon Valdez oil spill, Exxon employees, federal responders, and more than 11,000 Alaska residents worked to clean up the oil spill. Exxon paid about $2 billion in cleanup costs and $1.8 billion for habitat restoration and personal damages related to the spill. Cleanup workers skimmed oil from the water surface, sprayed oil dispersant chemicals in the water and on shore, washed oil beaches with hot water, and rescued and cleaned animals trapped in oil. The fourth one is the environmental and economic impacts. The spill had both acute short-term impacts on wildlife and environmental health, and long-term effects that persist to the present day. The oil spill also may have played a role in the collapse of salmon and herring fisheries in Prince William Sound in the early 1990s. Fishermen went bankrupt, and the economies of small shoreline towns, including Valdez and Cordova, suffered in the following years. The impacts of the environment and wildlife are an only long-lasting consequence of the Exxon Valdez oil spill. This section is all about the Oil Pollution Act of 1990. In the wake of the Exxon Valdez oil spill, the U.S. Congress passed the Oil Pollution Act of 1990, which is President George Herbert Walker Bush signed into the law that year. The Oil Pollution Act of 1990 increased penalties for companies responsible for oil spills and required that all oil tankers in United States waters have a double hull. Exxon Valdez was a single-hulled tanker, a double hull design, by making it less likely that a collision would have spilled oil might have prevented the Exxon Valdez disaster.